Yes, folks, welcome back to the Man United agenda. It's Friday night, 10 o'clock, and you know what that means. Yes, welcome back, folks. I know the show, the 8:30 show was not long finished. There were quite a lot of people in there watching that one. I hope you've come over from that to come and see the takeaway. Got a bit of a different angle for you tonight. And I'm joined also by some exceptional guests this evening. We've got our resident SHAH. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, good. Thanks very much. Good to see everyone. Happy Friday.
Have a nice day. Enjoying the weather?
Man. Went another grade up on my tan scale. You know, I keep measuring it when that sun comes out. So I was happy.
Bro, I can't listen. If I can only go into the reds. It's like pink up to lobster. That's my scale. Colin, how you doing, bro? Welcome back.
I'm doing all right, thank you. Good to be back. As you can see, I'm in Ronaldo's villa trying to sort out a deal. You know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's looking rather fancy there.
Yeah. Ronaldo's villa, mate. You know, only special people get invited, but.
Nice one. Well, get me an invite because I quite like the look of that Mary Joanna over in the corner there. And also, we've got Matthew Bassett in the house. How are you doing, Matthew?
All good here, thanks. It's a Friday night. I'm here on the takeaway from being in the chat on the previous show. Chilled out, had a good day at work. It's all good.
And it's the weekend. Excellent.
Oh, yeah. And there's no Man United to ruin it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think, yeah, they're keeping us, on the edge, aren't they, to be fair? They really are keeping us on the edge. So we've got some interesting topics tonight to discuss. So before we do that, as you know, on the takeaway, we do like to change things up a little bit and just provide you with a little bit of fun and games. Now, there's two particular games that I quite like. One is Spot the Ball, and the other one is Who Am I? So, for your delight and your viewing pleasure this evening, I'm spoiling you because we've got one of each. So, let's start off with, I'm going to see now, if anybody, even in the panel, if you know it, just shout out the answer. Right? Just shout out the answer. And we'll get this one done and dusted quick. So, here we go, folks. This is Who Am I? This is an ex-Man United player. I stumped you on it.
I think I know.
Okay, then, Matty, go on then.
Is it David May?
Yes, get in. What give it away?
Yeah.
What give it away?
Jan, February, March, April, May.
Yes.
As soon as it's in them 3 months, so David May, it's got to be.
Yeah, and that's obviously the picture there is David slaughtering Goliath. So I had to crop it down because otherwise you'd have seen it and gone, oh yeah, I know that's David and Goliath, surely. So yeah. There we go, folks. That's that one in the bag, nice and easy. If anybody else gets it, stick it in the comments. Let's have a look. Mr. B's in the building. Brushes in the building. Solo in the building. So that was that one. Okay, so let's move on to something a little bit more difficult then, shall we? Here we go. Spot the ball. We all like a bit of spot the ball. So all you got to do is, folks, have a look at this image and tell me which one you think is the ball. Simple as that. So there you go. Which one is the ball? You got one guess, folks. You can't be saying number, blah, and then going, oh no, I think it's no. You got one guess. So, Mr. B, you especially remember there is one guess, bro. Okay. So let's have it. OMONDI's in a building. Big up OMONDI. So yeah. So then have a good long hard look at that and a good think about it, and then you tell me and come back to me a little bit later when I bring it back up. Which one you think is the ball? Okay, cool. So let's remove that. I'm moving to the real reason why we're here. Excuse me. And that is to talk about the comments made by one Stuart Pearce. So, Stuart Pearce questions Ten Hag's strict rules for Man United squad. Former Manchester City boss Stuart Pearce has questioned Erik Ten Hag's new rules for his Manchester United squad. Pearce told TalkSport, if you've set those 5 rules up, they must all be run past him, meaning Ten Hag. And then he has to deal with every little problem they throw up. Let's take the diet, for example. A lot of these players employ their own chefs away from football, and you can't police that. They do it for the right reasons, and for the foods that they have culturally around the world, by putting something like that individual rule in place. You've got to police it, and how do you police it? So that's a interesting question there from Pearce there to what he's flagging up. I sort of get where he's coming from, and so in terms of the actual rules, we did speak about this yesterday, which was he's not being late for the training and that there being repercussions if you are. No personal chefs, as he's just alluded to. You're not going to run into your agents with problems. You're going to Ten Hag. The BMI checks, and I think the one was the alcohol ban during game weeks, which should go without saying, if I'm honest. So, okay, getting into this now. What do you make of what he said, SHAH, Stuart Pearce there? Do you think he's right?
I think he is right. I think a lot of his comments are reflective, but then at the same time, I think Ten Hag's approach is probably the correct one that needs to be done. We need to kind of readdress the mentality and the focus, and I think that's what he's trying to do, because I think the fact is that you've come into such a big job with such a wealth of a value of a squad, and that's been underperforming. The first thing is you're going to see what people's attitudes are like. Obviously, he might have had a conversation with Ralph, but he's got other people that around him as a coach that will know those players, and they would have fed back their parts as well. So he's obviously making decisions to help get the regime in order at the club from top to bottom where he can. And obviously the immediate impact he's going to have is on the players. And I think what Pearce says, personally, he can't police those players though, but by inflicting rules, hopefully that kind of will make them think twice about certain things sometimes, Sometimes they might be out on a Thursday, they haven't got a game. Well, they will have this year anyway. But I mean, like, for example, another night, but they might be out with their wife and have a glass of wine. We've seen footballers do it. We've seen, families go out and have that. So those kind of things are part of, what needs to be inputted. And I think what Pearce is saying is obviously the freedom for the players. You can't be there 24/7 watching every single player. So whatever happens is going to happen, but it is going to, if you get dropped out, you're going to be the one that looks bad that week, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? For breaking the rules, etc. Sets us kind of standard, in my opinion. So I think that discipline side is something that we need to have. But I think Pearce's comments are equally justifiable as well.
No, yeah, I get to what you're saying there, and but there are going to be some. Yeah, you've got to set the standards, and you've got to give the players the opportunity to get on board with what you're doing. You have to trust. There has to be a certain level of trust that we know. But also, I'm going to come to you, Colin. In what he's put into place, Ten Hag, surely there's going to be weight checks as well alongside the body mass index. So this is, in a roundabout way, you can't go sneaking off and doing no cheating, because when it comes to the weight checks and the BMI index, if that starts to fluctuate, Erik ten Hag is going to go, yeah, what's going on here? What yours is? It's up and down. It's all over the shop. What you do? What's going on? So they are kind of going to know. So it's going to be, that one I should imagine going to be quite easy for him to keep an eye on. Now, some of the other ones may be a little bit more difficult to keep in check. Example, they're talking to the agents, for example. What do you make of what Pearce has said, Colin? And also, is it going to be difficult for Ten Hag to keep a check on the agents link?
Yeah. You're not going to stop a player talking to his agent. It's never going to happen in football. That's the way football is nowadays. They'd rather go and speak to their agent about the problem than go to the manager about the problem, because 90% of the time, it's about the manager or a teammate or the club. So they're not going to want to go to Erik for that. They're going to go straight to their agent, and then we're just going to see more of what happened last season. Agent's going to give it to somebody in press, and it's going to come all out. And if they do it anonymously, Ten Hag's got no idea where it's come from. So how can he police that? I just don't think he can.
Yeah. What do you make of that, Matty? Do you agree with what Colin said there about the policing of the sort of all these rules? Is it doable for Ten Hag to keep in check, or do you think this is more of a trust thing on the players and getting them on board in that sense?
I think it's more of a trust thing. It's put these rules in place, and he's got to have trust in these players to put them in place. There's certain ones you can check. Obviously, the weight one with the diet, you can check that by the weekly weight checks and the BMI checks. The agency is got no chance. Players now, if they have a problem, on the phone to the agent, try and get moved to another club or something like that, or just sit there complaining up until they can get out the club. We look at Ronaldo now. Ronaldo seems to, I wouldn't say has a problem, but it seems funny how it's all come out now about Ronaldo. It suddenly pushed it, and we've seen players in the past just force their way out of clubs. Di Maria is a prime example. There's certain policies that are checkable, he can't follow. But I think these players need to start believing in the manager and actually listening to him. Far too often, they've looked at the manager, and we've had some great managers. We've had Louis van Gaal, was a great manager, got a fantastic CV. But Jose Mourinho, great manager, fantastic CV. And they've not bothered listening to him. And these are winning managers. Eric's coming, he's a winner. Now, they've got to start trusting these players. If they want to find on board again, they have to start doing what's required. These managers are trying to do what's best for them.
Yeah. No, exactly. I agree. And I'm going to ask another question, which is, so what we've basically got to ask here is do you think the players, will they actually trust Ten Hag and go and confide in him? Will they actually go, you know what, okay, you don't want me to talk to my agent, but if I come to you and I sort of say something that maybe I'm sort of not sure about saying, are you going to take it in good faith? You know, are you going to sort of start, you know, treating me differently if I come with a gripe of some sort that, you know, and are you going to obviously keep it to yourself? You know what I mean? All them kind of worries, because this is why you have an agent that is your confidant. You know, that's it. Like you just pointed out, Colin, is you go to your agent and go, you know what, I'm effed off about blah blah and that, you know, and it's like, don't worry, we can this could come out, but it doesn't know where it's going to come from. So you're more at ease with going and saying what you need to say. So again, you know, is this something that you think could actually work if players start to do it and actually see Ten Hag acting on it in the right way, not judging them in the wrong way for whatever it is they're saying? Or and the second point is this going to be a lot, like Stuart Pearce is alluding to, is this going to be a lot too much for Ten Hag to try and juggle all at once, all these new rules? Anybody wants to answer that?
No, it's not too much. He's clearly brought these commandments in because he's already had them at Ajax, so he knows that they work. So I'm hoping, and this is just me, that the players will try it. Yeah, they will try and go to the manager instead of going to their agents. They will try and sort it, and hopefully Ten Hag takes on board what they're saying and gets it sorted. Then obviously they're building that bond and that trust. I really do hope that. But with all the leaks that happened last year, I think it's going to be a struggle, especially within this first year. It's going to be a definite struggle because players have got so used to throwing people under the bus. And I'm just worried that they're going to revert back to that. The
question is, I want to ask as well, then, is when we look at all the leaks from last season, I think, is it a case of the reason that was happening, it was because of the poor performances, because of the instability of the club, i.e. bringing in a manager who really wasn't a manager on a short-term basis when there was other better options out there for us to possibly go and get. Ralph Rangnick was a great option in terms of you know, other things he could have done for the club, but he quite clearly failed as a manager, you know. So all those things combined, you know, obviously, you know, you can't keep everything in-house when you've got so many different problems. If this was just one player, for example, who's got a gripe, you know, I think it's easier to keep it, you know, in-house and go, look, listen, we can deal with it. We'll deal with it. Unless you've got a really mouthy player and a mouthy agent, i.e., you know, Paul Pogba and Mino Raiola, rest his soul. You know what I mean? It's so going into this new era now under Ten Hag. Is there going to be less things to moan about? What do you think? Interesting, isn't it?
Go on, Con. You
see, I don't know because there should be less things to moan about. It's a whole fresh start. You know, we're not under anybody. Like you said, Ralph Rangnick wasn't a manager, he's a builder of clubs, and that's what we should have brought him in for. We should have brought him in to build clubs up, you know. I mean, I can still remember when he were in charge of Schalke and we beat him in Champions League, where it's 6-1 or something like that. We beat him. You know, he was managing then, and yeah, he helped build Schalke, but he's not a manager at all. Yes, he can deal with things because that's what he does. I hope, obviously, like I said, Ten Hag can deal with everything that's going to be thrown at him. But I just can't get past with how many leaks came out last season. And it was every single day there were a new leak coming out. I mean, people seem to know who the leaks were, you know, who it was, why they were leaking it, stuff like, you know, not getting game time, etc., being lied to. Maybe with some of those players no longer here, we might see change. But again, I couldn't say that it's going to be different.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, this is the angle I'm going for here, is because obviously it's like a reset. So as it stands right now, ask you, Matty, as it stands right now, early on, have the players really got anything to kind of gripe about?
No, I want to ask, do you think maybe Eric wants some of these Ajax players, because he's coached them before, and they can act as like a link between what's being said in the dressing room and what goes back to Erik ten Hag? Obviously, he's coached them players. No, we have to do Sandro Martinez and Anthony. Obviously, two players who trust Eric and know what he's about as a coach and as a person.
So now, you mean a spy? You mean a spy?
Sort of, but they can also influence the players in and around them, speak to them about what Eric is like as a coach, since they don't know Eric as well as the Ajax players. So it's kind of a two-way thing. Anthony and Lisandro in the dressing room, they can speak to the players about what Eric's like as a coach and what his expectations are, but him more as a person and his man management skills as well. But also, they can go back to Eric and go, well, this player is saying this and player Z is saying that about...
Snitches. They're all snitching on each other.
Yeah. So like a link between the two. So if anything's said in the dressing room, Eric gets noted about it. He can then speak to these players privately about it, and obviously what Eric's done for Anthony and Lisandro Martinez, they can go back, explain to our current squad why he's done it, and that was going to better them as players.
Interesting. Now, what do you make of that, Shah? Do you agree?
I think there's some valid points, but I think some of these players are already going to know. As soon as Ten Hag's name was flying around, the players would have been messaging Donny anyway. Like, you know what I mean? And having chats. Donny's quite close with the squad, regardless. And now they're back. They're obviously, they're all going to be chatting. I'm sure they've got a Man United first team lonely group chat or something like that, or for that period, like someone's going to be asking the questions already. So I think some of that will already be coming out of what they can expect. I think obviously that they didn't buy into Rangnick's way. We saw that deflated attitude, like your supply teachers in and you're there throwing, like leaving Pritt stick hanging above her head, like before it falls down in the classroom kind of thing with Rangnick, And and to be honest with you, that's the kind of what we saw, like people just not respecting the play, not respecting what the manager's asking them to do. And we saw it with Mourinho as well, before Rangnick left. So I think Erik ten Hag is doing probably the right thing, because he's not going to let no one walk over him. And I think if there was any kind of situations, we've lost some influential players in many different ways as well this window, and this season, like now the year's gone. So I think he can have a stamp, and I think the reason why also that they're interjecting so many of these academy players into this is because they know that you've got more control, like not control, but you've got more respect from an academy player than you've already maybe got from the team around you, if that makes sense. So having people like you said, like Anthony, these other players coming in from Ajax, even if Frankie does come, doesn't come, Anthony doesn't come, whatever, doesn't matter. You've still got an understanding because your manager, Stephen McLaren, and the assistant, they're all worked together already anyway, right? So I think we're actually going to see a different type of attitude from our players this season, and one that we've all been thriving for. You know, looking at the drills that they've been doing as well, I think that's another thing that just shows like they're working harder than I've seen them in the last few. If you go and watch some of the others, they're just kind of just waltzing around, like playing kick the crossbar and stuff like that. You know, like so these sort of intense trainings, you can tell, you know, the players, you can hear them as well. I don't know if anyone's caught any of the audio in some of these videos.
I've heard it. Yeah, I've heard it. But you know, I want to move on from this in a moment. But I just want to wrap it up in a way that kind of makes sense. It makes sense to me, but I'll ask you if it makes sense to you. And it's simple, really. That this is the chance for the players. What he's doing is he's saying to the players, "Look, this is a chance for you to improve, right?" And the players that are not sticking to the rules, that lets Ten Hag know which players are on board or the ones that aren't. And it makes his job a whole lot easier. So what Stuart Pearce is saying is he's looking at it from one angle. He's not looking at it from all angles. So this is quite a clever move, in my opinion, by Erik Ten Hag, because he's just laid out some simple rules. You don't stick to them. I know you ain't on board. You're not trusting in what we're doing. You're not believing in what we're doing. So that is going to make it easier for him to go, you know what, you're not getting picked. You're going training with the youth or with the B team or the reserves, whatever. But you're not on board. If you are not listening and trusting in what I'm asking you to do, because I am coming with a successful history and CV, if you're not trusted in that, then you're not, for me, it's as simple as that. And I think it's quite clever, to be fair, when you look at it. And again, like I said, you know, Stuart Pearce is looking at this from maybe a player's angle. You know, it's all about the players. No, it ain't all about the players, no. This is all about the team. This is all about the vision and the goal at the end of what he's trying to do here. So, you know, if you want to give me a retort to that, you're more than free. What do you think?
I just wanted to say one last thing just before we go on. Frank Lampard done a similar thing at Chelsea, right? A few when he went over, but he started putting some rules down to set a standard, and I think that's the word that we got to really understand. You know, from Ten Hag, he's trying to set a standard. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's it. And let's just hope, we've got to hope here as fans that these guys are now hungry for success. I mean, come on, let's have it right. You know, you're at one of the most successful clubs in the world. The most successful club in England, right? I know that Liverpool fans will argue that, but we are, right? So surely you've got to be hungry. The ones who've been there a little longer, for 2, 3, 4 seasons or whatever, you know, not really had any proper success of anything major, especially the Premier League, because that's what it's all about, really. You know, the Champions League and any cups, it's a great thing, don't get me wrong. But the meat and bones of it all is winning the league. That's what it's about, because it's the toughest league, hardest league, most expensive league, and all the blah blahs. So it all adds up to whoever wins that league is the best. Simple as that. So yeah, look, I'm just hoping that all the players are on board. They get their heads down and do what's noticed. And you know what, folks? Don't forget, there is going to be a watch along on the channel on the 12th, and it's against Liverpool in Thailand. And we will be doing the live watch along. So if you want to come and join us, and we will be getting into the bones and the meat of that as well, to see how. I'm not expecting, you know, something, you know, all ironed and crease free, but I think we are going to see some major changes in how we're attempting to play, which is exciting for me, to be fair. So before we move on to the next topics, folks, I'm just going to drop in our spot the ball once more. There it is. All you got to do, like I say, is drop it in the comments which one you think is the ball. And we're going to go through some comments actually whilst we're at it as well. So make a mental note, folks, of which one you think it is. I can see all the cogs above your heads all swirling around going, what's going on here? Which one? You know what I mean? It's good, isn't it, that one? I like it. I do like it. Okay, so let's go through some comments. Like I said, we've got Mr. B in a building. Mr. B's, good evening, gents. He's also dropped in a link in the chat, I believe, for the Fantasy Premier League to join our Fantasy Premier League, which, how rude of me, I didn't show. Where is it? Where are you? There it is. So there it is, folks. If you want to go and join our fantasy, the Man United Agenda's Fantasy Premier League, I don't know much about it, so Colin's your man.
There's a chance to win a cup, and I think Rebel's going to be doing a different kind of take on the Man United agenda, but all focusing on the fantasy league, which players and who's moving, who's shaking, who's top of the league. There's also a cup up for grabs, I believe. So there's quite a fair good reasons to join it. Plus, obviously, if you're going to be in the sin bin when you're in the bottom of the league, then you're going to not probably get showing up. So I think Solo's aiming to be getting the forfeit, I hear, because I see his name in there twice.
Yes, I think people are already sort of, because of some of the teams that Solo's put up in the past, we've all gone like, but that's another story. But Solo's in the chat, actually. Big up Solo. Brush is also in the building saying, big up, guys, smash the like button. Monday's in the building also. There we go. Hi, guys. Hope everything is cool. Right. Mr. B is going for number 3. Ooh. Mr. B is going number 3. Brush is going number 3.
They got Rush.
Mr. B is going number 2. Mr. B has said one guess, bro. Which one is it? Come on. You know how it works. You know the dance. Some actually leaked this list, right? Someone actually leaked the list. Well, don't get me started on that. I didn't know that, but we can't go back to that. But we'll, if we need to, we will. Box is in there. Says, "Lo, we still have a leaking list leaking, whatever you say."
Leaking leaks.
Yeah, leaking leaks. A leaking leaker. Alan's in the building as well. He says, "What I loved was the way he said to the press about bringing in his first signing, Malacia. Is a quality signing. From the small clips we've seen, discipline is going to be paramount." Yeah, interesting. Pat Lawless in the building. Yo, big up, Pat. Big up to the top panel, he says. Got Maisie in there as well. Big up, Maisie.
Big up, Maisie. All the time.
Who else we got? Let's have a look. Avad's in the building. He says, what's worrying is the fact that Tottenham are building their squad with some good quality players. They're going to be a force next season under Conte. Yeah, that's an interesting point, actually, because they have brought in some really good players, haven't they? Done some really great business, Tottenham. So, but whether they'll actually be enough to take enough points, I don't know. I'm not so sure. Bill Baggio in the building. He says, "Evening, people. Just join a fantasy league." Yes. You want to give up now? He says, "Oh, okay then. You know your stuff. Then I'm taking it, Bill. You better add that now. You've come out with that statement. Someone clip it."
I can Bill doing a forfeit.
Yeah, there will be a forfeit, Bill, and it involves a wig and false teeth. Helena Hopkinson says, "Good. This lot need discipline." Yeah,
they got Helena.
Let's have a look where else we are. Emma K as well. Also, she says, "Well, there is something about controlled leaks." Controlled leaks. Crikey, we just don't want any leaks at all, do we? Okay, folks, let's move on to the next. Now, there's rumours as well that we are now. Apparently, Erik ten Hag is looking at a right back. And there's a couple of names that have been mentioned, which we'll get to in a moment. And also, because we know we're looking at the defender as well, Martinez. Hopefully that will get done soon, which would be great. We do need some backup in that. Also, as you were seeing on the previous show, the Delict links, which I don't think everybody's like at this moment too gaffed about because, it's a bit kind of like so-so. But the two we've been linked to in terms of the right back positions are one Malo Gusto from Olympique Lyonnais, valued at 10 million. He seems like a decent player. Played a few different positions, etc. But I'm going to ask the panel what you've got on this guy. What's he all about? So I'll come to Colin first. What's he all about, Malo Gusto?
Well, he's a good little player, isn't he, for his age, 19 years old. Could play right back, right mid, centre back, on both sides at centre back. He could play there. So obviously, I don't know a lot about him. I don't watch a lot of Liga and football, so I've done a little bit of digging into my favourite little thing, and that's football stats. And I've compared him against a player that I think he probably most is similar to, and that's Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, he might be coming in to replace Wan-Bissaka. So I've got the head-to-head stats basically. So clearances, tackles, crosses, chances created, etc., etc. And there's not too much difference between them, even though Wan-Bissaka is 5 years older than him. So, for instance, Wan-Bissaka's got better clearances with his 2.4 to 1.4. Tackles, Wan-Bissaka's better again with 2.1 to Gusto's 1.7. Crosses, Gusto does more, 0.9. Chances created, Gusto does more, 1.2. He's not as good in the air as Wan-Bissaka. His interceptions are very close, but not as good as Wan-Bissaka, and his blocks aren't as good as Wan-Bissaka's either. But he's got a lot of room to grow. He's a lot younger than Wan-Bissaka. Like I said, I need to go and actually watch some of his games to understand how he plays everything and that. But I think he looks like a promising player just from those stats.
What have you got anything on this guy, Matty? Do you know anything about him at all? Have you seen him play or anything like that?
Oh, I've not seen the play. No, very little about him. What I would say, listening to what Colm said about him and looking at the value, 10 million, on the basis we're looking to get rid of Wan-Bissaka and Brandon Williams, they've both been told they've got no futures. It's worth a punt for 10 mil. 10 mil nowadays, transfer-wise, is nothing. It's not even pocket change. We do need a right back. I said a few weeks ago I was more concerned about our right back situation than I was about our left back situation. But we seem to have got a left back ahead of a right back. Now, I'm more for the Manasseh signing, by the way. I think it's a fantastic young talent. But the right back situation, we've got Wan-Bissaka and Dalot. Neither of them, in my opinion, are good enough. Dalot, he's got the potential to be good enough, but Wan-Bissaka, he's just got to go. For 10 mil, you've priced him Wan-Bissaka. Suppose that if you could sell Bissaka for, I think it's been valued around 30 mil, certain teams. If you can sell for 30 mil, bring in a 10 mil right back, you're up 20 million quid. You can chuck that towards another player.
Yeah, no, interesting points. What do you make, Shah, of this kid?
So I've just had a look at him since obviously the rumours have come around. To be honest with you, I think much like most of us have already admitted, like we didn't know too much until we really had a look up about him. Videos that I've seen, the clips, I've watched. There's a Rangers game that he played in. I think that that they won. They beat Steven Gerrard's Rangers then in the Europa League. Little dig, just getting it out there. Just which I thought was. One of those ones that you can just see that he's matured. He's obviously playing in the French league, but he's got some exposure to European games as well, which puts him in a good light. 19 years old, 10 million, like Matt and Coleman said, it's a good buy. But has he got enough of the next kind of level up in him? And that's the thing that I would question. But like everyone says, he's 19. He's got room to grow. We've seen 19-year-olds come in to our scenes in the games like Januzaj, Young, even Rashford's had a dip in that few years. So how much is he going to be of an impact player? I don't think he will. But like if Wan-Bissaka goes, 10 million for him, and you'd be happy with it to bring him on and let him grow. Because I think the main thing also that we've got to think about is there's not going to be we'll maybe get a trophy out of this season, one bottom end trophy, I don't know, but there's no league title. This is actually a good time for him to come in and grow with the squad because there is a nice young academy transition coming in as well. So I think that 10 million would be money well spent if we do go for him.
Yeah. Some great points made. And we're talking about 10 million quid as if it's like 10p, which, it's a Man United, it probably is. However, You know, when you look at the saga going on with Frankie de Jong, for example, you know, 10 million quid makes a whole lot of difference. However, with this kid, I mean, like I say, yeah, he looks like a prospect. And that's all I will say at this stage on him. He looked like a prospect. 32 appearances last season for his club, no goals, 4 assists. So, you know, 4 assists out of 32, you know, in the French league, it's like, okay, you might have some elements of his game that make Ten Hag think, oh, yeah, you know what, I could use him. He's got, you know, I could teach him this, I teach him that, and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know. I'm not too sure about this one, if I'm honest. He doesn't really sort of really.
He's not lighting it up, is he? But
no, not at all.
At 10 million, would you take a gamble?
No.
Even at 19 years old?
No, I wouldn't. I'm honest. And I'll tell you why. Because we're going to move on to the next target that we're supposed to have been linked with. And that is Ridel Baku. 18 million. Wolfsburg. What do you know about this guy?
Yeah, well, plays in a harder league, done it for one. Let's face it. He's older, right winger, right back. I think he's played central midfield as well at times. So yeah, he looks like a decent player. I don't mind it. I've seen him play a couple of times, not like massively, like when it's been late at night and Bundesliga are on. I've threw it on TV and I'm like, just sat and watched it. But again, I've had to dive deep into my knowledge of stats, and I've compared him to Dalot, obviously, because they're the most likely again. And again, stats-wise, very, very close. I won't bore you with all the stats. Recoveries, Baku's better than Dalot. Short passes is not as good. Long passes is not as good. Tackles is not as good. Chances created is slightly better. He can get up and down the wing. I know that much. He does get up and down. However, the thing that I worry about is a not massive worry, but it is a slight concern. I've had a look into injury records. So he's not had that many injuries, which is fine. However, he did have a ligament tear, and it put him out for 56 days. I mean, that were a couple of years ago, but I've watched a few clips of him before and after his obviously recovery. And if you watch him before the ligament tear, he was very, very mobile. Since he's come back, maybe it's a mental thing. They're like a bit like what Rashford's got with his back. So I think that's a mental thing. He doesn't seem to be playing at the ability that he was, if that makes sense. And I think for 18 million, for a player that might have some sort of mental block, might be an issue.
Okay, well, yeah, that's interesting. There's some things I didn't know. Matty, what do you make of this Ridel Baku?
Well, I know very little about him. When I researched on him earlier, seen that he played numerous positions, played right back, right mid, right wing, left mid, left wing, central mid, defensive mid. So he's got versatility about him. I wasn't aware of the injury. Although it's not injury prone, it's 56 days. I'm trying to work out the severity of the injury. I mean, I know it's a ligament tear, but is that anterior cruciate ligament or?
No, it were a systematic ligament tear, so it's Achilles basically.
Oh, okay. 13 mil. So I'd go with the other lad for 10 mil. I think slightly younger. Not aware of any injuries with him. And well, you have to bear in mind that they're coming in the squad players. They're not going to be coming in as first team players. And you've also got to look at it as what we've got transfer value wise, the budget to spend versus how much you're paying me. That 8 million quid now for Baku, that could go towards a deal for another player. As you said earlier, talk about the young deal. The 10 million could be the difference between us getting him and not getting him.
Yeah.
So you've got a fine balance to books when it comes to buying and selling.
Yeah, 100%. Shah, what do you think of this kid?
I think injuries aside, he made 41 appearances, scored 5 goals. I can't remember the last time one of our right backs scored 5 goals in a season, full stop. 41 games. That's good return, and that's in the Bundesliga. And the paces are probably a lot better. I think he would be more suited to be an understudied or even take over from Dallo, just purely because if you can put him away in that league, you can definitely put him away in the Premier League. In Lyon, in the French, for the other lad, Malo Gusto, he's obviously playing in a different league. And when you go down to some of these mid-level teams, they're not as good. The mid to the bottom end of the table, then they're nowhere near as good as the mid-table of the German league, in my opinion. So I think that both of them are equally strong candidates. But I think in this instance, I'd rather go for someone with a little bit of maturity, like Riddle, Baku. We've already got youngsters coming through that they're going to be gelling in. How do you want that, or do you want someone who can just kick on straight away? And I think we're kind of in that right back position. We need a player that can kick on into that position straight away, if that makes sense. We need some delivery. We need better crosses. I've watched enough games where I look down that right wing, and ever since Valencia done his injury, he wasn't the same player. And then we've had other players come on that right wing, and no one has been able to link it together. And I think that's something that needs obviously big addressment. And I think obviously someone like that, I think he'll be able to hit the ground running and we'll get some good results, personally.
Yeah, I mean, look, some valid points there from everyone. And for me, I quite like the look of this kid. I really do. He's like the stats that you pointed out. Overall, 116 appearances in the Bundesliga, 12 goals, 16 assists. Make it that of what you will, but it's the makeup of his game, pacey, energetic, with enough intelligence to drift into the midfield. Good technical ability also to get away from danger. And I think for me, that's one of they're the kind of things that Ten Hag would look at and go, you know what, actually, that you could fit right into what we're trying to do here because of the rotation. If he's got the ability to rotate and move around and be comfortable in the position and hold onto the ball and use the ball wisely, that's a great asset. And I think, like I said, for extra 8 million, he's in a harder league, as Colin pointed out. The injury scare. I mean, look, players get injured, but I mean, it's not like a proper one of those proper bad knee ones where, at any moment it could just go south again and then you're going to be out for half a season or a full season. You know what I mean? It's not quite as harsh as that. So, I quite like the look of this kid, and I agree with you, Shah. I think he's ready to hit the ground running and jump straight in and give Diogo Dallo something to think about. And now we're going to get to the chat. Sorry, go on, Colin. You want to say something?
Yeah, no, whilst you've been talking, I've just had a little bit of a deeper look into him. And I've managed to find how many times he's played in certain positions, how many goals he's scored in those positions, and how many assists he's got in those positions. And his numbers are very impressive. This is throughout his whole career. So obviously, as we've said, he's played pretty much everywhere on the pitch apart from striker. He's played from central midfield. He's played 67 times. He's scored 6 goals and 3 assists. At right back, which obviously we're looking at, he's played 46 times there through his career, 5 goals, 9 assists. Right midfield, 46 times, 5 goals, 5 assists. Right winger, 15 times, 8 goals, 4 assists. So now that I've had a bit more of a deep dive, I probably would go back on what I was saying. Yeah, his injury does worry me a little bit because, like I said, it could be a mental block. But like you're saying, for the extra 8 million, for stats like that, and he can, like I said, he can play everywhere, and he's proving with some stats there that I've read out that he can play anywhere he gets is put, and he's competent at doing it. I can't see why we shouldn't be looking at it.
Yeah, that's some great stats there. Some great stats, and that, you know, he's scoring goals and getting assists from all the positions he's playing, and that tells you he's technically, as it says, competent. He's confident. You know, he's got the ability there. He's got the strength there. I mean, you can see from his physique in the image there. You know,
He's got the hunger to go for it.
Know,
like, how many times have we seen our right backs in these positions, right in front of that goal, and just you think, hit it.
Yeah.
Hit it. Hit it.
I know, bro. Yeah, listen, you have to tell me. I did the watch ones with Mr. B, and with the frustration was like, yeah, terrible.
They do it. It just goes back to Harry Maguire. But
yeah, they hit it. They goes sideways or backwards. But no, I mean, yeah, like I think overall. So I'll just ask you outright quickly for a yay or a nay. Just a yay or a nay if you can. So yes or no, SHAH with Malo Gusto.
Like him, I like him a lot, but no.
Okay. Colin, yay or nay, Malo Gusto?
Out of two, no.
Okay. Matte?
On the information just been given, I'd probably go with Baku over Gusto.
Yeah, sound. Okay. So I think we can all agree then, but this young fella would most definitely be more worth the risk for the fee, considering it's just 8 million more. But what you're getting in terms of goals and assists and ability to play different positions is, yeah, it's well worth another 8 million. So that's why I was initially drawn. So I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This kid's been all over the shop and he's got goals and assists in the German league. And it's, you know, it's no not for the faint-hearted, is it? Let's have it right. So that's all, you know, really good news there. And I know there's some people, and we're going to go to the comments actually. Let me get back to where I was on the comments. MK was saying, well, there is something about control leaks, so that's where we were at. Need some... Mr. Big. I don't need the wig and false teeth. I'll borrow OMONDI's. That's what Bill Baggio's saying. Big up, Bill. Box is saying, Malo Gusto looks the part, but can he play? Well, we've just gone through that, Box, so let us know what your opinions are, which we might get to in the chat. Thomas Mitchell, big up, lads. Big up to you, Thomas, as well. Box is saying Dumfries has been touted also. Now, that's a different conversation, which we haven't got time for right now, unfortunately, but yeah, if his name does pop up, folks, with any kind of interest from United, solid interest, then we will obviously talk about it. But Bots is saying Inter just bought to replace Hakimi, so will be hard to buy. I don't know who he's referring to, but Bill Baggio saying Dodo at Shakhtar impressed me. Not sure if he still plays for them. Still good right back though. Box is Leighton Baines available. He's long gone, bro. He's long gone. So, yeah. What's Maisie saying? Maisie saying, I love Baku. He is quality. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. Maisie. That's it. Riedel Baku. And Avad's in the building. He says, okay, I could win it, boys. I think he's talking about the Fantasy Football League, which there it goes. It's right there. Go and get your code in.
Big up Avad for joining.
Yeah, or just click the link that is in the chat somewhere. It's in the link, and go and join up, and then we'll see, won't we, as we go through the season. Rebel and I think Pat and possibly others will be joining that to keep everybody updated as to how it's going for different panelists and everything else. And you can keep us all posted as well in the chat as we do the shows over the season. Thomas Mitchell's pretty confident. He says, "I'm winning."
He's got a big note. He's got a big pointy nose. Turned into Pinocchio.
Oh, I wonder what that was. Yeah, okay then. Right, folks, let's go back before we wrap this up. We've been going for 50 minutes. Here we go. Tell us what you think, folks. Which number is it? So I'm going to go through the panel now, and I'm going to take your first answer. SHAH, what number?
3.
Okay. Colin?
2.
2. Okay. Matte, which number?
2.
2. Okay, let's have a look what we've got in the chat. Mr. B went for 2. Bill Baggio went for 2. Let's have a look. Anybody else went for anything? Anybody who's still in the chat, let us know in the chat now. Put your Thomas Mitchell says 4. Okay. Let us know if anybody else is still in the chat. Give us what number you think this is. This is spot the ball. Simple. All you got to do is tell me which one of those numbers is the ball. Okay, before we wrap this up. So
You're Mr. B, who normally gets it right.
Mr. B has gone for 2. He had. I'll allow Mr. B because he is the host of the show. He's the host with the most, so I allow him to change his mind. So he went for number 2. Right. Okay. So MK is going for number 1. OMONDI is going for number 1. Am I going to get beat here? Am I going to get beat? Okay. I'll give you a few. Oh, Box is going for number 3. Okay. Right. All right. Let's have it then. I will now reveal which one it is. And SHAH, you're wrong. Column, you're wrong. What did you say, Matty?
I went with 2.
No, you're wrong as well. Emma K is wrong. Thomas Mitchell's wrong. OMONDI is wrong. Mr. B is wrong. But anybody who said number 3 would be correct because it was actually number 3. There you go.
Yeah. Did you not hear us?
Oh, did you? I thought you changed it. All right. Okay. So you're right, SHAH. I'll give you that one then. Sorry. I'm trying to diddle you there. Okay, folks. But yeah, there you go. It was number 3. I try to confuse you because where Scott McTominay's eyes are looking. I thought, right, I'm going to go on that line there. And he's looking at number 4. I was expecting everybody to go with either 2 or 4, not number 3. So, but yeah, anyway, Gavin Ward, what about Pavard? Says Gavin Ward. Pavard, yeah, I mean, seems like a decent play. He was good. He was good in the what was it? Was it the World Cup? Was it the World Cup or the Euros with France?
Yeah, that's what he scored that goal, didn't he? That worldie.
Yeah, it was a corking goal. And Bill Baggio's saying, for furry boots' sake, I never get it right. Don't worry, Bill. There's always plenty of time. Also, Bill, did you get our Guess Who I Am one? Did you get that one? Matthew Bassett got it straight away. He was all over it like a proper rash, let me tell you. Sergio Dest is Box is saying as well. Thomas Mitchell coming up with Matty Cash. Look, listen, there's loads of options for us. It's all about fee though. It's all about fee. It's all about wages. You know, and we don't want to be sort of going, too OTT on those fronts because this Frankie de Jong deal. I mean, we could be still here in January, folks. You know what I mean? It's going to be a long draw.
Yeah, exactly. It might not happen, but I think one thing that we've got to make sure is like there's still a little bit of time left in this window, but there's obviously some big decisions that are going to go behind, or maybe we've seen 3 or 4 players and then that's it, and then we see a lot more of the academy getting bedded in this season. That's what's going to be very interesting to see, because if you don't get the players, you've got to make up the squad somehow, right? You can't just
of course
you know what I mean? You can't play with empty players. So I think it's going to be exciting to watch this season. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about everyone else.
Yeah, he's got like you say that. I agree with you, that if we don't get any of these targets over the line, so to speak, or there isn't just the ones available that Ten Hag wants, then he's going to have to fill them up with them spaces up with some youth and give the youth a chance. But listen, folks, it's come to that time. It's the end of the show, but I just want to big up everyone who's been in here tonight, giving us the support. Again, as usual, it's Friday night. As Mr. B would say, you could have been elsewhere, but you've chosen to come and spend your just short of an hour with us, listening to us waffle on. But it's all for the good of the club. It's all, we love talking about our beloved Manchester United. So it's all good. But just going to find out where we can find folks before we disappear. So, Colin, where can we find you, bro?
You can find me on the United Agenda. You can also find me on Twitter at OCMUFC, Twitch and YouTube at SwissSpartan92.
Excellent. And also, Matthew, where can we find you, bro?
You can find me on Twitter waffling about Man United, or you can find me on here sometimes waffling about Man United. I'm always waffling. Yeah, I'm always waffling about Man United, though.
Yeah, keep going, bro, because I love it.
Yeah, man, definitely. Check them out. Check Coleman, guys.
Yeah, where we find you at, SHAH?
I'm here on the channel Fridays, 10 o'clock. It's pretty much the time I'm around. So obviously with everyone else on the panel doing some great work as well. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, join the Premier League Fantasy, which is always it's in the chat, in the comments. and we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, excellent. So, folks, listen, do keep your eyes on the channel over the weekend, because if there is any breaking news, that we will be bringing it to you. If there's any shift in any of the deals we're trying to push, or there's any new sort of targets that offers have been put in, that kind of thing, we will be bringing it to you. So keep your eyes all over the channel, because something could spring upon us on the weekend. And again, I just want to thank you all for supporting us on this show and on the previous shows. We love you all. It's very much appreciated. And it's that time now. We've got to go and say goodnight, because it is Friday after all. We've got to go and enjoy the rest of our weekend. So that's what I want you to do. Enjoy your weekend, folks, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.
No,